I thank the Lord. There's people out there like you. I thank the Lord there's people out there like you.
All right, welcome to the show today. It's a very special day because it's Suicide Awareness Day. And to help raise awareness about suicide, we have the SAD group in. We have Faria Hassan, Amreen Hassan, and Bear Bisson, and also our counselor, Jerry Krause. But first, the announcements.
All right. Thank you to everyone who showed their appreciation to their teachers yesterday in honor of FBLA Spirit Week. Also, big thanks to those who wore their best business attire to school today. Don't forget that tomorrow is America Day, so break out your red, white, and blue. Thank you and have a great day. Auditions for Cinderella will be Tuesday, so they've already passed. Wednesday after collaboration at 2:45, and Thursday will be callbacks. Tuesday was the singing auditions, so I don't know if you talk to Miss O, maybe she'll let you do it another time, but it might be a little bit too late on that one. Strategy Game Club will meet at 2:45 on non-collab Wednesday and Fridays in room 304. Our candidates for Mr. WHS 2014 are freshmen Connor Burson and Nolan Fontaine, sophomores Kevin Hoke and Chance Riddle and Jake Worthwing, do you know that? Juniors Josh Collins, Connor Cummings, and Riker Falks. Seniors Isaac Beamer, Cooper Collier, Cameron Horn, and Nate Miller. And Mr. WHS will be on Monday, November 3rd in a lecture room, or hall. Don't forget to wear white on Thursday in honor of 9/11 remembrance.
All right. This school has been touched by the grief of suicide. I knew a boy when I was a kid who committed suicide, a very good friend of mine. And so it's a problem we all know about. How big of a problem is it among young people?
It's a very big problem. It's the third leading cause of death among young people ages 10 to 24. And every year about 4,300 people do commit suicide. So the numbers are pretty shocking.
And even one is too many.
Right.
If you think that you have a friend who is in a depression cycle or a depressed state, I wonder what you think you should do, or what should people do in that situation?
Well, once you know that you've identified that you think a person could be suicidal or depressed, you should refer them to a professional so they can get further help.
And professionals are all around this building. We have social workers, we have counselors, we have people who know how to get in touch with national services in town, psychologists, etc. So help is all around. In fact, as a high school teacher, you have to be trained on warning signs for suicide, and you have to know what those are, and you have to be prepared to act when you see those signs. I wonder if you can tell us what the warning signs for suicide are.
There are many warning signs for suicide, including talking about wanting to kill themselves or wanting to die, changes in behavior or habits like drinking or starting drugs. And a lot of the times you won't even see any changes. So you just, as a whole, you want to be nice to people and don't hurt them in such a way that could cause such a drastic solution to a temporary problem.
I've heard of things like, for example, a young person might say, "Oh, it's okay, I'll be gone soon," or "Things are going to change soon," or there's an act like "I'm leaving town soon," or "I'm going to move." Sometimes I hear also there's a happy phase right when there's a decision to commit suicide, and so the person might seem happy on the surface following a period of depression. We have some misconceptions about suicide, and Jerry Krause, you want to tell us what some of those are?
Yes, there's a few false statements that relate to our misconceptions. One would be that people who talk about suicide won't really do it. And the fact is that if anyone mentions suicide or statements as you've suggested, Mr. Burchard, those are clues or warnings that we need to take seriously. So no matter how jokingly something might be said, we want to take that seriously, and we want to tell a caring adult. Another statement and misconception is that if a person is determined to kill him or herself, nothing is going to stop them. The fact is that most severely depressed people have mixed feelings about death, and they waver until the very last moment between wanting to live and wanting to die. Most suicidal people do not want death, they want the pain to stop. The impulse to end it all, however, is overpowering, but it doesn't last forever. And so that's why it's so important that people who have that pain have others who care about them, who help them see some hope. And then another misconception is that talking about suicide may give someone the idea. You don't give a suicidal person morbid ideas by talking about suicide. The contrary is true. Bringing up the subject of suicide and discussing it openly is one of the most helpful things that we can do.
It's one of the hardest things I've learned in my career is that students really do think about suicide and they actually do commit suicide. You always think it can't happen, but we know that's not true. We know that at Warrensburg High School. We know that at Union High School when I grew up. We know that it touches our lives. Okay, anything else we need to mention?
Yes, as a group, SAT had some questions for Mr. Krause, an expert with dealing with teenagers. How do you think our school can reach out better to students who might be thinking about suicide?
I think one of the most important things is that we work at our relationships with one another. I know that all the teachers and staff are encouraged to establish relationships with our students so that we're in touch with each other, we're caring. Someone mentioned bullying earlier. We have a no-tolerance policy for bullying. If all of us seek to ensure there's no bullying that happens, that's another way that we can be working at having healthy relationships, being supportive of one another, and being in touch with one another.
And along with that, do you think that if the amount of bullying decreased, the amount of suicide would decrease in school?
I'm unaware of any statistics that correlate the two directly, but it's clear that whatever makes a person feel bad is not a positive thing, and so we want to avoid making one another feel bad.
On Friday in Academy in the library, we will be continuing this discussion, and we welcome all to grab a pass beforehand and come in.
We'd like to leave with just a few thoughts. Again, there are warning signs for suicide. It is up to all of us to pay attention to those warning signs. But most importantly, if you think that somebody might be suicidal, the worst thing you can do is either, number one, pretend it might go away on its own, or number two, believe that the stigma is too great and that you can't bring that up to a professional. The best thing to do is to bring it to a professional's attention. You are not a narc, you're not a tattletale, you're not a person who should be unforgiven for that kind of act. Because suicide is a final situation, and we really don't want that to happen to us in our lifetimes, as it has. Anybody have anything else they'd like to end with? All right, we're going to thank Faria, Amreen, and Bear from the SAD group, and also thank Jerry Krause from our counseling. All right, take care.